They said he was too small, too weak, that he'd never make it. But today, the world calls him a legend. This is not just the story of Lionel Messi. It's the story of a dream that refused to die. He was born in Rosario, Argentina, a quiet city where football wasn't just a game. It was life. From the moment he could walk, Lionel Messi had a ball at his feet. He would dribble down dusty streets, kicking anything round. His brothers played rough. He never backed down. And when they tried to take the ball from him, they couldn't. Not because he was stronger, but because he was different. Even as a child, people could see it. There was magic in his touch, a kind of silent genius in the way he moved. But that gift came with a heavy cost. By the age of 10, something wasn't right. His friends were growing taller, stronger. But Leo stayed small. Too small. Doctors gave the answer no one wanted to hear. Growth hormone deficiency, a rare condition. Without expensive treatment, he would never grow normally. He would never have a chance to become a professional footballer. Can you imagine? You're a kid. You have a dream so big it lights up your whole world. And then, someone tells you your own body is the thing that will hold you back. Most kids would give up. Most families wouldn't even try. But Leo wasn't most kids. And the Messis were not most families. His parents, Jorge and Celia, didn't care what it cost. They didn't care how hard it would be. They just saw their son's dream, and they would do anything to keep it alive. Every night, Leo stood still as his father injected medicine into his legs. Painful, routine, night after night. Because the only way to grow was to suffer first. Still, Messi never stopped playing, never stopped dreaming. He played like the world depended on it. His team, always the smallest boy, but always the most feared. Because the moment he touched the ball, everyone knew this kid was something else. The problem wasn't his talent, it was everything else. Because talent doesn't always pay the bills. And very soon, Leo's dream would come face to face with a cruel truth. Not every miracle has a happy ending. Or at least, that's what the world thought. But they didn't know Lionel Messi. They did everything they could. His parents worked double shifts. They sold what they had. But soon, the money started running out. The treatment was too expensive. And in Argentina, no club was willing to pay for it. Think about that. One of the most talented kids the world had ever seen, rejected because of his height. Not his skill, not his heart, but because helping him was too costly. Newell's Old Boys, his beloved hometown club, loved his game, but they couldn't support the treatment. Other clubs saw his size and walked away. One after another, the doors slammed shut. Most families would have accepted defeat, given up on the dream, but not the Messis. His father, Jorge, refused to let go. He sent tapes of Leo's games to clubs across the world. He called everyone, begged for a chance, just one chance. And then, a whisper from Europe, Spain, FC Barcelona. A youth director saw the footage and couldn't believe his eyes. A boy so small, doing things grown men couldn't. They invited him to a trial. The family had no guarantees, no contract, just hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, this would be the miracle they were waiting for. So they packed their bags and flew to Spain. Imagine being 12 years old, in a new country, surrounded by strangers, trying to save your own dream. No pressure, right? Messi didn't speak the language. He didn't know anyone. But when he got on that pitch, the ball spoke for him. He danced past defenders like they weren't even there. Coaches were stunned. One of them said, "He's not normal. He's from another planet." But still, no offer. Weeks passed. Silence. Papers. Politics. Delays. His father was furious. His mother flew back to Argentina with the rest of the family. They had no idea if this move had ruined everything or saved them. And then, a piece of paper. A napkin. That's all it was. But on that napkin, Barcelona wrote down a promise. They would sign Lionel Messi and pay for his treatment. A contract, scribbled over lunch. That napkin changed football history. But even after the deal, life wasn't easy. Messi stayed behind in Barcelona with his dad. Alone, homesick, quiet. Just a boy from Rosario, trying to survive in a city that didn't know his name. He cried at night, missed his mom, missed his brothers. The food tasted different. The people talked too fast. The world felt too big. And he felt so small. But there was one thing that never changed: his love for the game. Every day he trained. Every game he gave everything. He didn't care about the pain, the distance, the fear. All he saw was the dream. Because deep inside, he believed, if he worked hard enough, someday the world would see what he saw. A future, a purpose, a boy becoming a legend. Barcelona was beautiful, but it didn't feel like home. At 13, Lionel Messi had moved across the ocean with nothing but a dream, and his father by his side. The club paid for his treatment, yes, but they didn't promise comfort. They didn't promise friendship, and they certainly didn't promise that things would be easy. He trained with boys much bigger than him, stronger, louder, more confident. They laughed when he spoke, because his Spanish sounded different. He was the outsider, the shy kid, the one who barely said a word. But when he touched the ball, everything changed. He didn't need words. He had rhythm. He had balance. He had a way of moving that no one could explain. Coaches watched him glide past defenders and thought, is this real? Still, the silence off the field was painful. Messi missed his mother's hugs, his brothers' voices, the smell of home. Every night, he called Argentina, and every night he felt farther away. He wanted to go back. There were times he almost did. He even stopped playing for a while. Depression, they'd call it now. But back then, it was just a kid breaking quietly. His father tried to keep him focused. Just hold on a little longer, he said. It will be worth it. And deep down, Leo believed him, because every time he touched the ball, he felt alive again. There was one match, just a friendly, just a youth game. Messi picked up the ball near midfield and didn't stop. He weaved through 5 defenders, left the goalkeeper frozen, and tapped the ball into the net like it was nothing. The crowd fell silent. Then they exploded. That moment, that was the beginning. The whispers started again. Who is this boy? Where did he come from? Why haven't we heard his name before? He was still small, still quiet, still barely visible off the pitch. But on it, he was becoming unstoppable. Still, he wasn't there yet. The pressure was building. He needed to grow, not just in height, but in strength, in spirit, in mindset. He trained harder. He studied the game. And slowly, something changed. The homesickness didn't go away, but it stopped controlling him. The loneliness, he turned it into focus. He stopped trying to be like the others and started becoming who he was meant to be. And soon, Barcelona realized they didn't just have a good player. They had a once-in-a-generation miracle. All he needed now was a chance. And when it came, it would change everything. The day finally came. October 16th, 2004. A cold evening in Barcelona. The stadium was full. The lights were bright. And on the sidelines, a teenager waited quietly. Just 17 years old. Thin, nervous, almost invisible, until the coach turned to him and said, "You're going in." Number 30, Lionel Messi. It was just a few minutes. A debut, nothing big on paper. But for Messi, it was everything. He stepped onto the field, and in that moment, the dream became real. He didn't score that day. He didn't need to. Because the way he moved, the way he read the game, it was clear. He wasn't there to watch. He was there to stay. Still, it wasn't smooth from the start. He was still small. Defenders pushed him. Elbows flew. Tackles came in hard. Every game was a fight. But Messi never complained, never backed down. He just kept going. There was one match, not long after, when he got the ball from Ronaldinho, Barcelona's superstar. Messi chipped it over the keeper with a soft, perfect touch. Goal. And for a second, the world stood still. Ronaldinho lifted him into the air, smiling like a proud older brother. That goal, that moment, it was a message. The torch was being passed. Soon, Barcelona gave Messi a proper contract. He was officially part of the first team. But he didn't act like a star. He didn't demand attention. He just worked. Quietly, relentlessly. He trained like his future depended on it. Because it did. And slowly, people started to notice. There was something about him, something pure. He didn't dive. He didn't argue with referees. He just played. With joy, with fire, with something you couldn't teach. He wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the strongest. But he was the most determined. Every time they said he was too small, he made them watch. Every time they tried to stop him, he found a way through. He would dance through 3 defenders like they weren't there. He would score goals that didn't make sense. He made people believe in magic again. And what was most beautiful? He played for the love of it. No ego, no arrogance. Just a boy who had fought his whole life to stay on the field. And now he was finally showing the world why. But Messi wasn't playing for fame. He was playing for something deeper. For the boy who cried at night in Spain. For the parents who sacrificed everything. For the dream that never gave up on him. This wasn't just football anymore. This was destiny. The boy from Rosario became a name the world couldn't ignore. Lionel Messi wasn't just a young talent anymore. He was becoming a force. Every season, he did things no one had ever seen. Goals, assists, dribbles. It was like watching poetry in motion. But Messi didn't care about numbers. He cared about the game. And the game loved him back. Soon, people weren't just watching. They were witnessing. Commentators ran out of words. Fans ran out of breath. Defenders ran out of hope. He became Barcelona's heart. And then the call came. The one every kid dreams of. Argentina, the country he had left behind. The flag he still carried in his heart. The anthem that still brought tears to his eyes. Finally, he would wear the shirt of his homeland. But it wasn't what he expected. Some fans said he wasn't Argentinian enough. Others said he belonged to Spain now. That he was too quiet, too distant, too different. It hurt. He had spent his whole life fighting to belong. And now even his own people questioned him. Still, Messi gave everything. For club, for country, for the game. He scored. He created, he lifted trophies with Barcelona like they were made just for him. Champions League, La Liga, Ballon d'Or after Ballon d'Or. But with Argentina, the story was different. There were finals, big moments, huge pressure, and every time, the ending was heartbreak. Messi cried, the world watched, because this wasn't just about winning. It was about proving something to the people back home, about giving them what they deserved, about lifting the flag and finally saying, we did it. But no matter how hard he tried, the dream stayed just out of reach. And with every failure, the media turned colder. You're not a leader. You'll never be like Maradona. You don't have what it takes. And for the first time in his life, Lionel Messi started to believe them. All his life, he had played with joy. Now, he played with pain. He loved his country, but it didn't always love him back. And yet, he kept coming back, because deep inside, he knew this story wasn't over yet. He stood on the field, motionless, eyes full of tears, hands on his head. Another final, another defeat, another heartbreak. The Copa America had slipped away again, and this time it was too much. Lionel Messi, who had given his life to the game, to his country, to the dream, looked into the cameras and said the words no one ever expected. I'm done. I'm retiring from the national team. The world froze. How could this be? How could the greatest player of our time walk away without the trophy he wanted most? But Messi wasn't just tired. He was broken. 4 finals, 4 defeats. The World Cup in 2014. 3 Copa America heartbreaks. Each time, he gave everything. Each time, it wasn't enough. And every time he failed, people didn't just criticize him. They attacked his heart. You're not a real Argentinian. You'll never be a leader. You don't care enough. But they didn't see the pain he carried, the weight of a nation, the sleepless nights, the silent tears, the pressure of trying to give his country the one thing it wanted most. They didn't see the kid who stood in the mirror, asking himself if he was the problem. The boy who had been told he was too small was now being told he would never be enough. And for the first time, he believed it. He walked away, quietly. The world mourned, not just for the player, but for the dream that seemed to die with him. But something strange happened. The fans who once doubted him began to miss him. Children cried, streets filled with posters. Thousands begged him to come back. Not for the goals, not for the trophies, but because they realized he was theirs. He had never turned his back on Argentina. He had carried it on his shoulders, even when it broke him. And slowly, something changed. A fire returned. He remembered why he started. Not for critics, not for fame, but for the love of the game. For the boy in Rosario who never gave up. Weeks later, he returned, quietly. As always, no press tour, no drama. Just the same message he had lived by all his life. I'm not done yet. The world had counted him out. They said he was finished, that his time was over, that greatness had passed him by. But Lionel Messi, he had one more story to write. He came back, not with anger, but with purpose. No more trying to prove people wrong. No more carrying the weight of comparison. This time, he played for the love of the game, for the joy, for the people, for himself, and everything changed. In 2021, he led Argentina to the Copa America final. One more chance, one more shot at redemption. The pressure was suffocating. Brazil, In their stadium, the rivals, the noise, the doubt. But this time, Argentina held strong. The final whistle blew. They had done it. Messi had done it. After years of heartbreak, years of carrying the flag through storms and silence, he finally lifted a trophy for his country. He dropped to his knees. Tears fell, not just for the win, but for the journey. All the pain, all the rejection, all the sacrifice. It had meant something. The country that once doubted him now screamed his name. Messi wasn't just their hero. He was their champion. But he wasn't done, because the dream that had always burned inside him was still there. The World Cup, his last one, Qatar, 2022. 7 matches, 7 battles. The world watched, held its breath, and in the final, Argentina versus France, the story reached its peak. He scored, he led, he refused to fall, and when it came down to penalties, he stood tall. Then it happened. Victory. World champions. The boy who was told he was too small, too weak, not enough, became everything. The GOAT. But more than that, Messi became hope. Hope for the kid who doesn't fit in. Hope for the dreamer who's been told no. Hope for every soul who's ever been told they're not good enough. Because Messi didn't just win trophies, he won hearts. He proved that greatness isn't about shouting the loudest or standing the tallest. It's about never giving up on what sets your soul on fire. And now, the boy from Rosario stands on top of the world, not because he was perfect, but because he kept going. And if you remember anything from this story, let it be this: size doesn't define your destiny, heart does. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe. Someone out there needs to hear this today. Believe in yourself, always. We'll see you in the next story.